Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Manantari Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Gaura Pivanande Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pari Vrajagachaja Stotra Satta Sri Simad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charan Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON DBT Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sagaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Sri Dwarka Dham Ki Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Sri Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Sri Mayapur Chandraday Mandir Ki Gangamayi Jumanamay Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Shri Shri Gonita Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai Shri Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees All glories to the assembled devotees All glories to the assembled devotees All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki.
So thank you very much, all the devotees for coming here. We are very, very fortunate today. We have here today Parama Pujya Sri Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj. I shared the detailed biography of Maharaj. Maharaj has been living in India for more than 50 years now. He has been going from village to village, from town to town to inspire all the people for cow protection and back to land and making Vrindavan villages. So we are very, very fortunate. So we loudly chant one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra to welcome Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Mataji's maybe you can just move this way or split like this. Prabhuji's can move this way and Mataji can split this so that they can see on the screen. Yeah, Prabhuji's can go that way. Some of the Mataji's. Prabhuji's can come this way. Please come here.
Mataji's heads అక్కడ కవర్ అవుతాయి వాళ్ళు కొంచెం
Before we show anything on the screen, I'll just make a small introduction, and short prayer. Yeah, you can follow. Yeah, the movie is not about to start right away. In a few minutes, it's not a movie actually. Yeah.
You should not see the baby's back, just a little bit, so that you can see Maharaj and the screen. Okay.
Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Tatsurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhuktale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone may kindly fold their hands close to the heart and repeat the following two short mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vasaram pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Jai. So yes, thank you all very much for being here, and thank you for the kind invitation to come and speak something also. The subject matter that we will be addressing this evening is directly connected with our traditional and eternal natural culture that we call Vedic culture. Vedas, as we know, very different from other scriptures. Was not spoken at a particular time in the history, just once. It is spoken many, many times. Actually, at the beginning, we know from the Shastra, from the scripture itself. At the beginning of every creation, this Vedic knowledge is revealed, the Lord Brahma. So this culture that we all know as Sanatan Dharma, it is very different from any other culture in that it is having that quality of being eternal teachings coming from the original personality of Godhead, not something that is man-made knowledge. And it is based on unchanging sciences. IIT, where we study science. So we will present science maybe from a slightly different perspective, but the knowledge that is the foundation of Vedic knowledge, Vedic culture, Vedic tradition is referred to as Chatur Vidya. And Vidya, of course, generally means knowledge. In this context, it actually means science. Many years ago, Srila Prabhupada, he actually requested, and it's in one of the books that we have. Where is that book? Should be here. I only have one book. Well, you can keep that, but the other book? Okay. Prabhupada wanted that we establish. Yeah. He wanted that we establish colleges, specifically Varnashrama colleges, to introduce these 4 basic sciences. We're not going to get into the details of those sciences, but what I'd like to point out in this presentation is how in modern day society, and especially in our various educational institutions, and here we are at IIT, we have very little information about those sciences, which are actually foundational to understanding the Vedic culture, which are foundational to understanding how we should live, what is the actual meaning of education, what is the actual meaning of economics. These are 2 of the 4 sciences: science of education, science of economics, the science of politics, which is also necessary if we're going to have communities, the science of governance, how to organize society, etc. But none of this can be understood unless one is introduced to the first of these 4 sciences, which you're all from India, to different levels or to different extent you are familiar with the term possibly Anvikshiki. Anvikshiki means the science of philosophy. Okay, maybe in colleges that are primarily promoting technology, philosophy might be down the ladder, if at all it is there. But philosophy is the beginning in so many ways. And when basic understanding, basic knowledge of philosophy is absent, then education, governance, economy all get diverted in so many different ways. I put together a small book actually a few years ago as I was doing my doctoral research. The title of my research was Vedic Vaishnav Sociology, Perspectives of Vedic Vaishnav Sociology and its relevance in the 21st century. Sociology is a relatively, in terms of academics, is a relatively new science. It's only a few hundred years, actually. But if we study Vedic literatures, sociology as a science, without maybe being called as such, has already existed, has always existed. And as I was doing my research, anyone who has done research, doctoral research, or even master's level, you have to, what they call, review various literatures to deepen the understanding of the subject matter. So at the very beginning, actually, I spent maybe 6 months to 1 year doing this type of research, and I thought it was rather important to share, even before completing my studies. And I came out with this book, which is the title of our presentation this evening. I'll just bring it up in 1 second. And it is the title, Modernity is Killing Civilization. And I think especially those who are devotees, and I would say more and more individuals who may not be devotees, as we know, but they are becoming more and more conscious of how destructive we have been since the last century, since the last 2 centuries. Actually, since basically, and I'll bring it up on the screen in a few seconds, since the Industrial Revolution. We need to know a little bit of history to understand where we are today. We need to know what happened yesterday. And then we can understand what can happen, should happen, may happen tomorrow. Yeah. So I'll just bring it up here. It's not a very long PowerPoint. We'll go through it briefly. And actually, just before coming to the apartment here or the whatever the house, I was having a short tour of the garden area. It's probably relatively recent.
Yes, 3 months.
3 months, eh? Okay, yeah. So then I was thinking, wow, this is very timely and very, very interesting, because it's very much connected with the subject matter that I'm addressing this evening. And as we will see by some of the references, quotations from especially our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, there's really a great need and an urgency as well for devotees in general, and anyone actually who has a sense of observation, and anyone who is caring about what is happening to others and what is happening to the planet, what is happening to other living entities, to become aware, what has caused, what is the major cause of so many of the complex global problems and crises that we are facing today in the world. Today we have the largest number of scientists that have existed, and although we have so many educational institutions in so many different countries, and although we have so much of intelligentsia, we find ourselves globally in a situation that is, well, some predict another global, this time, human extinction. We've been experiencing, and that's one of the statistics I'll be sharing, various alarming levels of different species that are becoming extinct on a daily basis. And it has reached actually a very alarming level that should awaken with us, a strong desire to understand, okay, what is the root cause of all this? And unless we understand the root cause, we cannot understand what is the remedy, isn't it? So now we can just switch over here. You can just continue hearing the sound vibration without necessarily looking here, yeah. Let's see. Modernity is killing civilization. Prabhupada uses that term. Anyone who has read or who reads Srila Prabhupada's books, isn't it? Many times Prabhupada is pointing this out in his various purports. Yes. The Vaishnava Vedic perspective of sociology. And this is a graphic kind of pictorial presentation of the contrast that is there today, isn't it? The traditional, as we will understand, lifestyle has been very much, as we see in the forefront here, connected with cows, bullocks, and land. And now we have in the background what is standard pretty well all over the world, yes. This is a very nice picture actually that I picked up in Cambodia. It's a painting actually. Which Cambodia, anyone been to Cambodia by chance? No, not yet. You should plan to go and visit Angkor Wat, famous, most ancient temple that is there. When I went to Cambodia maybe 15 years back or so, this is, for the majority of people, still the lifestyle, which is very interesting and very close, of course, as well to the Vedic culture. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, a few references from Shastra that are directly referring to the subject matter. Yes. Somebody can read that? Who's good at reading?
Go Brahmana Paritrane Paritratam Jagat Bhave.
Very good. First, the translation. First of all, cows should be protected. Cows, thus protected, will in turn protect the Brahmanas. Thus, when protection of cows and Brahmanas is achieved, then the whole world is protected. If we protect the cows, cows will protect us. If we neglect the cows, we become neglected. In another place, I don't have it here, very important writing by Srila Prabhupada, the light of the Bhagavat, you might have read. Prabhupada mentions how if we want to actually bring permanent solution to the many problems in the world today, same kind of message, we must first give our attention to protection of cows. Yes. And that is from, this is the reference here, Mahabharata, Harivamsa Parva. Yes. And this is, Om Sarabhyani Maha is actually part of Shastra as well, and it is simply glorification of Mother Surabhi, who is the origin of all cows in the spiritual world. This is possibly more known. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society. and world. There are many, many prayers I'm sure you have read describing the absolute necessity of cows actually in our lives, in our daily lives. Gava pratista bhutanam. Bhutanam, all living entities are sustained, not only humans. All living entities are sustained actually by the presence of cows. Yeah. This is from the Vishnu Purana. Yes. Yes, this is the one. Okay, I have it here. From the Light of the Bhagavad, the killing of cow in human society is one of the grossest suicidal policies. And those who are anxious to cultivate the human spirit must turn their attention first towards the question of cow protection. In this small book, Light of the Bhagavad, Prabhupada makes many important similar type of statements. Yes. This I'll cover quickly. These were just, I would ask a few devotees to just write a little something. Okay, the problem. What is the problem? We need to understand what the problem is. Modernism, which is represented by industrialization and urbanization, has disconnected individuals and society from cows, land, culture, tradition, and spirituality. As a result, modernism is destroying three cardinal values of prime importance in the Vedic culture, namely, the gift of cows, second, the gift of land, and third, gift of knowledge. These are not immediately easy to understand by most people. It should be easier for devotees to understand, but even for devotees, it's not, of course, we know the importance of cows to some extent. We know the value of cows, but we're not able to actually make the kind of connection that is needed to actually do something of major importance that can bring about some changes within society. These are described in the Mahabharata, actually, these three gifts of nature, cows, land, and knowledge, by grandfather Bhishmadev, when he begins to address Yudhishthira Maharaj. So the result is, this creates an unsustainable and artificial lifestyle, causing severe global economic and social problems with life-threatening ecological disasters. This is where we are now, and have been actually, and it's simply increasing. Yes. Okay, I'll stop here. This is a short, very short. I guess we are going to the movies after all. It's a very, I came across this interesting, I don't know what you call it. I still don't know who put this together. Probably is a devotee. And it's two characters. The two characters are two rocks. Yeah. Who are sitting on a mountain, as you'll see. And, from a mountaintop, you can kind of observe and see things. So they're having a conversation. It's very short, but it's really to the point. I think you'll understand. It's one of different, we could say, references or documentaries which highlight both the problem and also the solution. So there's sound to this. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure the sound will come.
Sound should come there. You guys should bring one. You can try once.
Okay, we'll try it.
Sound should come.
No, it does take a few seconds for sound to come. It's coming here.
You can put this speaker here. Just
Yeah. Well, that's second best, but anyway.
speaker is here. You can start.
Yeah. Hey.
You can go back.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so it will come and whatever, that's maximum. Yes. This is good for children also. Very good. You said that.
Mein Q. Ich glaub, da hinten ist auch noch eine. Hä? Hier! Sieh dir das an. Was machen die jetzt schon wieder? Holzhaufen? Ich sage dir, da steckt System dahinter. Mhm. Ich hasse Pflichten. Da ist die Eiszeit vorbei, man freut sich, Sonne auf dem Bauch, zack, sind sie wieder da. Oh nein, ich hab Moos auf dem Kopf. Halbstarke, verdammtes Mist. Ich hab die Schnauze voll. Volltreffer. Dritte Ratten im Monat.
Yes.
Das ist egal. Sie bauen die Wege für diese Dinger. Das ist Fortbewegung, das ist Transport. Hier der Weg, die Stadt, Entwicklung, die Möglichkeiten. Junge, schau es dir an. Und der Schlüssel zu all dem ist das. Wow! Was? Oh. Juhu. Das ist ja noch mal gut gegangen. Ich will ja nichts sagen, aber du hast wieder gut Moos auf dem Kopf. Oh, was ist das? Was eine schöne Moos auf dem Kopf. Das ist Moos auf dem Kopf. Ja. Du kannst blöde machen, ja.
As they say in movies, that's all, folks. When we see something like this, we have to take a deep breath and try to understand. I think it's not so difficult to understand, but it really conveys what has transpired and where we are today in modern day society. Let's continue with the presentation here. It's okay. Yeah. I need my glasses. Yes, got it. Okay. So, with the topic of modernization, as explained actually in this book here, is graphically demonstrated in this short document, you see, right? So, yes. There's an intimate connection between cow culture and I spoke a little earlier about Chaturvidya, the four sciences. These four sciences are absent for the vast majority of people, and within practically all of our educational institutions today. We'll just go over this very briefly. As I was mentioning, Anvikshiki, the science of philosophy, Trai, science of education, Dandaniti, science of politics, and Varta, the science of economics. These three individuals, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, which is part of what is described in the Shastra. I was mentioning how Veda, or Dharma, the Vedic knowledge is teaching us about Dharma, about Sanatana Dharma. And Dharma, probably many of us may not realize or understand. I myself did not understand for many years, even as a devotee. Dharma is not only referring to spiritual subject matters. We think of, eternal, Sanatana Dharma means eternal occupation, eternal spirituality. But Dharma is also referring to these material sciences, which are essential actually for a society to properly function. And as I tried to explain a little earlier, the science of education, the science of politics, and the science of economics that are largely absent in terms of Vedic education, Vedic politics, Vedic economics, unless that first of four sciences, the science of philosophy, is present. Here are a few global statistics. This is a few years old now because my research goes back maybe 3 years or so. More than 150 billion animals are slaughtered every year. Billion. There's actually a website where it keeps track of, on a second-to-second basis, which animals are being slaughtered actually every day. Animals, different species, etc. Every year in the world there are an estimated 40 to 50 million abortions. Each year approximately 1 million people die from suicide. That's one death every 40 seconds. And coming to India, our farmers suicide every 30 minutes in India. One important documentary that came out a few years back, some of you might have seen, Miti. Anyone has seen? No, huh? Okay, I'll give you the reference later on. It should very well.
Trailer.
Huh?
We'll show them trailer.
Show them?
Trailer. 30 seconds trailer.
I don't have it here. It's at the other place. Yeah, there's a trailer on that. But I have the full movie. These are the references to these statistics. Just a few more statistics, so we get a little understanding of what is taking place in the world today. 1/3 of the natural resources on the planet have been consumed in the last 2 or 3 decades. 1/3 of the natural resources. And we have only one planet. Yeah. The US has less than 4% of its original forests. And similar situation in other countries as well. Some 40% of waterways in America have become undrinkable. Water is a huge, major problem globally. 80% of the planet's original forests no longer exist. America has only 5% of the total population, but uses up to 30% of the total global natural resources. And we are all meant to become like America. Just do a little quick calculation. Right? It doesn't compute. Mahatma Gandhi, famous quote, "The earth has enough resources for our need, but not enough for our greed." So true, isn't it? Here's something interesting from one of the scientists. Somebody can read from the top.
We scientists don't know how to do that. I used to think the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address those problems. But I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that.
Touché. True, yeah. At least there are some scientists who are coming to that understanding, isn't it? It's just a matter of time, and of course, the devotees have a major role to play in bringing about this understanding through the various activities that we are doing all over the world, whether it's in villages or in cities or on college, campus, whatever like that. Every activity that is undertaken by devotees as instructed, especially by our founder Acharya, is actually meant to bring this kind of realization and understanding, especially amongst people who are scientists or more intellectual. Yeah. A few more global statistics. Daily extinction is being inflicted upon 150 to 200 different species of plant, insect, birds, and mammals. Unthinkable. We actually depend on other species. So the more we allow, and we are the ones who are, because of our modernization and the way we're living, we are directly responsible for the extinction of these different species. In 2016, more than 1.9 billion adults 18 years and older were overweight. Of these, over 650 million were obese. Obesity is one of the major problems. There's a long list of global problems, that's one of them. Globally, more than 300 million people suffer from depression, and 260 million suffer from anxiety disorders, mental illness. In the last few years, I was visiting, where was it? Sweden a few years back, and devotees were mentioning how in Stockholm, a major problem of loneliness, not only among elders, but actually in general. And the problem became so acute that the government, in order to address the problem of loneliness, established a ministry for loneliness. And a lonely minister. Yeah, and I heard that it's happening in other countries also. Because of the lifestyle that we have developed, and because of so many of the modern ways of living, etc., even though we have all kinds of cell phones and ways of communicating and whatnot, we have this major problem of loneliness. And of course, we'll understand in a few minutes. The devotees already have basic understanding. Yeah. Why Vedic sociology? Why we need to understand and present this topic of Vedic sociology? The Krishna consciousness movement is actually endeavoring to bring human society to a sober condition. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The reference is there. Because of a misdirected civilization, people are jumping in materialistic life like cats and dogs, performing all sorts of abominable, sinful actions and becoming increasingly entangled. Varna Sankara, Prabhupada translates as very nicely, ferocious activities, is unwanted population which disturbs the peace of the general society. In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized for spiritual progress and life. Quote from December in Los Angeles. There's so many quotes actually. This book I wanted to show and encourage devotees to get a copy of, entitled Speaking About Varnashrama, which is basically 100% the different statements and quotations from Srila Prabhupada on the subject matter related actually to the Vedic culture, whether it is agriculture, cows, economics, etc. like that. Because most of us are in cities, we think much less about about cows. We think much less because we become disconnected with the land, which was the opposite actually, just some few decades ago. We'll just go through this quickly and then we can elaborate a little bit possibly. Therefore, the whole world is suffering so much sinful activities. The greatest sinful activity is cow slaughter, and they are committing. They do not know what will be the result. February 19th, 1977, in Sri Mayapur. The killing of cow, I think I read that before, from the Light of the Bhagavad, grossest suicidal policy. Yes. Important quote. Therefore, there should be a thorough overhauling of the social system, and society should revert to the Vedic principles, that is, the 4 Varnas and the 4 Ashramas. The Krishna consciousness movement is for the protection of Brahminical culture and cows. And then automatically the peace of the world will come if these 2 things are done. This is Vedic literature. They pick up the essence of the things and all other things follow. Yes. Well, I won't go into global objectives as such maybe right now. We can maybe, this is basically an introduction to the subject matter, which is meant to be the concern of actually, put the lights back on maybe, or, okay, we can just close this. We can, back to normal. Srila Prabhupada was very, very aware, even though he was born in Calcutta, as we know. He describes himself as a city boy. But he had that very clear vision, clear understanding of the importance of, as he would often remind us, simple living and high thinking. And when Srila Prabhupada speaks about simple living, he's making reference to the traditional Vedic lifestyle, which is primarily an agrarian lifestyle. And I know it's not easy for them, even as devotees, it's not easy to to understand really what that actually means. Because when we read different books, and especially about history, the common understanding or misunderstanding is that now we have progressed. People used to live in villages, now we are advanced, we live in the cities. Haribo. Yeah, we live in the cities, and then we have situations like it was maybe a few months back, especially if anyone is from Bangalore. We all know the major crisis that was there, people living in these beautiful high-rise apartments, and no water, yeah, not even able to flush the toilet. We have created an unsustainable situation. The modern day cities actually are not based on sound principles. Cities in themselves are not bad if they are, just like we have Vedic cities, like Dwarka, Hastinapur, and others. But they were planned out based on Vastu Shastra and so many other considerations. But modern day cities, especially, follow no Shastra whatsoever, and very often they're just various villages that have come together, not properly planned, etc. And of course, Prabhupada mentions how the main defect in modern day society is that people don't believe or don't understand that that God exists, or that there's an afterlife, and that this life is very short, very temporary, and meant to be properly utilized, is meant to be very meaningful. It is very extremely rare to get this human form of life. And actually human beings, although we think we are so many on the planet, but if we compare ourselves to so many other different species, we're very small percentage, isn't it? Grass, insects, whatever, aquatics, we're very, very small number. So, as Prabhupada points out very correctly, we have been since the last, especially 200 years, I mentioned earlier, going in the opposite direction of what is actually recommended in the Shastra. And when we look at the lifestyle that the residents of Vrindavan, we read about it, of course, in the Bhagavatam. And again, we don't have to go back, because some people will say, well, that was 5,000 years ago. Let's be real, and we are here today. But even not so long ago, in many villages, probably most villages in India, actually there are records to that effect. When the British came, some of them visited and made compilation of, and there's wonderful descriptions of how the villages were very clean, people were very respectful to one another, because to a large extent before this whole era of industrialization, people were following. Of course, there were many things that were not correct, especially in the context of varnashram dharma. Unfortunately, that whole system, and that's one of the major challenges we have when we even dare to speak on the subject matter of varnashram. It has been exploited since the last, more than 2 centuries. That is one of the main reasons why Lord Buddha rejected the Vedas, isn't it? Because of misuse by the Brahmins at that time. It's Kali Yuga, these are the symptoms of a very disturbed era or period. However, throughout the history, our various acharyas, based on Shastra. And when we speak of acharyas, we speak of very learned, very intelligent individuals, scholars who had enormous knowledge because they were basically focused on very deeply studying the subject matters. And India, as you know, is from where so many of the modern sciences that are existing today, the roots actually are from India. So this whole spectrum of the Vedic knowledge, specifically in terms of how we should be living, what are meant to be our what we call, like in the Bhagavad Gita, prescribed duties, isn't it? In the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni speaks about prescribed duties for humankind. So prescribed duties are very specific in terms of meant to be connected with, again, cows and land. And it took me many years, and I know it's not at all easy. I'll try to give one or two examples. In the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, where the activities of the residents of Vrindavan, the activities of Krishna and Balaram are described, a very wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada, whereby he explains how the daily activities of Krishna and Balaram, when they are old enough when they are given the responsibility to look after the calves, small cows, every day they go out with their friends, cowherd boys, and they go from forest to forest, and they do this every day, actually. So Prabhupada actually, in the very beginning of that report, explains how this activity for young boys of going out and looking after the cows, and what takes place as they perform that activity, what takes place in terms of interaction between them, Prabhupada explains that this is Vedic education. This is Vedic education for those who are not academically inclined. And those are described in the Shastra, of course, as being Brahmanas. Brahmanas are the ones who will go to Gurukul. Brahmanas are the ones who will study for many years and very deeply study subject matters because they have that natural inclination, natural interest, natural ability. But we're all made different, and it's not everyone. I mean, everyone can theoretically become a prime minister in a country, but generally it's very few people who actually can take up such kind of positions. We all have different natures. This is based on the modes of material nature, so that's why this whole aspect of philosophy comes in the picture, isn't it? When Grandfather Bhishmadev is on his bed of arrows, he begins to instruct Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling very morose because the battle of Kurukshetra has just ended, and he's thinking that, my God, all of these people have died just so that I can become the emperor or the king, actually the emperor of the world. So Grandfather Bhishmadev, although on his bed of arrows, begins to instruct him. And he does so actually it covers many subject matters. But the very first instruction, and again, Prabhupada in the purport, in the very first line of the purport, makes a very significant statement. Grandfather Bhishmadev begins his instruction by explaining that actually, now you are king, he's speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and he's making reference to how society is meant to be arranged according to Varna and Ashrama. And Srila Prabhupada immediately in the very first line, he explains that this instruction of Grandfather Vishnudev highlights how this God created, isn't it? Krishna created this system of Varna and Asrama. Krishna is actually the father of Vedic sociology, is arranged in such a way as to help accelerate our ability to become, to actually develop spiritual qualities, which is the primary goal and purpose of life. Once we understand that we are different from this body, once we know Aham Brahmasmi is the beginning of spiritual realization, I am spirit in nature. And then, of course, we have to go beyond that. Well, what is the nature of that spirit soul, and what is the origin of that spirit soul, etc., etc. So, in other words, this social arrangement that we call varnasrama, where specifically cows and man are mentioned and as being fundamental for helping us to actually progress towards the primary goal and objective of life, which is self-realization. It is Krishna's simple and natural arrangement to help individuals actually rise from the lower modes of nature to at least the mode of goodness. Unless we are situated in the mode of goodness, transcendental subject matters will have no interest for us, isn't it? So the whole Vedic culture, in other words, Krishna has arranged that if we are connected with cows, if we are connected with the land, connected in the sense of actually living, isn't it? That's why the science of economics, which is one of the four sciences, the last of the four sciences, is based on these two things, Krishi Goraksha. And if we look at modern day economics, I mean, it means we don't understand actually what is economics. Sustainable economy, real sustainable economy is that economy which is taking these two factors into consideration. The Chandrika Pandit mentions how if we want to be happy, there are two ways in which more easily we can become happy. One of them is by living locally, localized living. It means living off the land without having to travel, as we are doing in modern day society, either by motorbike or by car. Some people fly to work every day, you know. They take a 1 hour flight or whatever, they go to work. Yeah. That is not the proper way of living. So in other words, we find ourselves today as Prabhupada points out, in a very artificial, unsustainable way of life, which is extremely taxing on all of us, you know, in terms of the mind and the lifestyle. We are constantly pressured in so many different ways. We have no time to think, practically speaking. And therefore, we have basically created all of the major problems that we face today without understanding how these have come about, and also without knowing the solution to these problems. The solution is meant to be actually both on the spiritual level as well as on the material level. Just like a little earlier, well, before coming here, we went to see the small gardens of some of the teachers or those who are living here. This is something that is much needed. More and more people need to, even on a small scale, need to again reconnect, actually. If we want to really reconnect, Dharma means what is natural. Dharma means what is original. Dharma means what is our original nature. We will not be able to understand what is our original nature, what is our natural nature, which is, of course, primarily spiritual, unless we also become or come in contact with what is more natural, and unless we take up activities which are more natural. And those are defined and prescribed in the Shastra. Everything is actually there, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, which is, of course, the preliminary book of knowledge. We were speaking about Anvikshiki. Anvikshiki is divided into three. One is Sankhya, Yoga, and Tarka. So Sankhya is actually, Bhagavatam speaks about Sankhya. Essence of Sankhya philosophy is devotional service, ultimately. Yoga, essence of yoga is also bhakti, isn't it? Unless we come to that proper understanding of who we are, as Krishna explained in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama evangsho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, we are the eternal parts and parcels of the Supreme, then we will not be able to understand what we should be doing. And how is that described also in the Bhagavad Gita? There are two ways of living, pravriti marga, nivriti marga. Pravritim cha, nivritim cha, janana vidur asura. Nasutsam, na pichasaro, na satyam teshu vidite. If we don't know the difference between what is to be done and what is not to be done, then our activities will not be proper. We will not be able to understand what is proper. We will not be able to develop proper behavior. We will not be clean in our external or even internal habits. Mind will be disturbed, etc. So these basic instructions is where, when Krishna and Arjuna, after leaving Vrindavan, so when Krishna and Arjuna are in Vrindavan, they don't go to formal school, but they go to school. The school is the forest, the cows, the lamb, isn't it? Krishna, with his flute, he is inspiring and pleasing the cows, and Balram has his plow, and he's in charge of agriculture. So, at least in India, has been for quite some time an awakening in terms of returning, coming back to natural farming, for example. There are many, for example, the Kumbh Mela is beginning in a few days, and I was reading just recently how, so many camps are there. The largest camp, actually, the largest area will have 1,100 purohits perform